What's up, everybody? You are watching JBTV, and I'm joined by a bunch of guests of the Hypes Watch as we are going to finish our top 10 lists for our movies that have been going on for a long time that I haven't got around to finishing, but here we are. Of course, a lot of great movies this decade so far, and yeah, it's not finished, but hey, you know, we got to do it. We can't wait another 3 years to do this. Let's get it over with now. So yeah, let's introduce our guests, starting with Tinker.
I'm glad to be doing this video again. I really enjoyed this decade, and I really enjoyed all the other previous videos that we've done. And I cannot wait to start, but I'm like Jerry, I've been tinkering with my list constantly because I just can't decide if it's the right order or if I like one more than another. So let's see. I'm curious what the other guys have in their list.
So Tinker has been tinkering.
Yep.
Sir LT Giles.
What's up, everybody? Sir LT Giles here, and I'm not excited about this decade. There are a lot of good movies, but yeah, this is probably the least favorite decade that we're doing. But I get to be here with Hypes Watch brothers and sisters. What more could you ask for?
Jerry.
Yeah, Jerry the Targaryen Steamboat here, and actually, James, I thought we were gonna go retroly back after this, but we'll have to decide. But yeah, looking forward to doing this one. This was like Tinker said, pretty hard. It was, mine's been flipping all over the place. There's so many good movies on this one. There's very few no doubters, but we'll see what we can do.
We might go back retroactively. We'll see. Don Willie.
What's going on, everybody? Don Willie back again. Glad to be doing this list. What's funny? Picking my top 10, or at least the top 9, wasn't really that hard for me. It was the number 10 that was kind of the hardest. And, I think people are going to be surprised at what my top 10 are based on what the top 10 were for the last decade, because I think everybody thinks it's just going to be all comic book movies. So,
comic books and spaceships. James, you're on mute if you're talking.
Yeah, my bad. My computer froze up there for a second. Speaking of which, Don Willie, you can kick us off with your number 10. We're gonna get right into it. Starting at number 10. Don Willie, tell us what comic book movie's at number 10. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
All right, so my number 10 is actually the movie that got people to start taking Matthew McConaughey seriously again after a long series of flops, and that is Dallas Buyers Club. This was a pretty interesting movie. If you're not aware of it, takes place in the 80s. Matthew McConaughey's character winds up getting AIDS, and while he's trying to look for medicine, he finds a whole bunch of other people who also need HIV or AIDS medicine in order to stay alive, and he creates this kind of underground network. And I thought it was a spectacular movie, and great performance by him, and I believe Jared Leto is also in there as well. So yeah, if you haven't seen Dallas Buyers Club, I highly recommend that one, and that is my number 10.
Didn't they both win Oscars for that movie? Jared Leto and
they both. Jared Leto won Best Supporting, and Matthew McConaughey won Best Actor. UT represent.
Definitely not a comic book movie at number 10 for Don Willie. So Jerry, what's your number 10?
My number 10 is a movie that it's really like it's really like, how do you say it? It's like a homage, a love, whatever you want to call it. Like, it's just a celebration of sci-fi and horror movies, and most people weren't thinking about this. Weren't thinking it was going to be this type of movie when it came out, but anyone who's a big movie aficionado like that immediately saw the millions of Easter eggs and everything and just loved it, and that is The Cabin in the Woods. That's by Josh Whedon and Drew Goddard, and it's Exactly. It's taken everything that we've like seen over the years and just kind of just thrown it all in one celebration movie. I mean, I loved it. I was like, oh my God, they're paying tribute to Alien, they're paying tribute to Evil Dead, they're paying tribute to Jason. You know, it was just wonderful. I could list the name of everything they were paying the tribute to, but we'd be here for 3 hours.
Also had a pre-famous Thor in it. Chris Hemsworth
Yes.
was in it before he was anything.
Although technically it got released. No, it didn't get released after Thor. Thor got released a year later. Sorry.
Yeah, good movie though. Good movie for sure. LT, you're number 10.
Wasn't he in Star Trek too? The
Yeah,
first Star Trek?
he was
Yeah.
Kirk's dad.
Yeah. All right. My number 10. Everybody in this movie is just amazing. I remember seeing this in the theater, and me and my buddy. There's a movie called Henry: Portrait of a Serial Killer. That has nothing to do with this movie, but there's a character named Otis in the movie, and he goes, "I want to watch it again." And that's how I felt about this movie, Prisoners, with Hugh Jackman and freaking a lot of other people. I cannot think of their names, but the movie was awesome.
Yeah, Paul Dano was in that movie. Great movie. Let's just say it won't be the first time that a Denis Villeneuve movie makes this list. Spoiler alert, but yeah. Tinker, you're number 10.
My number 10 is this one. I wasn't sure put it number 10 or put in honorable mentions, etc. And then I said, "Fuck that! I'm gonna put it in my list because I just had so much fun with it. Like I've seen Don Willie's Dollars Buyers Club, and I thought it was a fantastic movie. But it was just at some moments it was just so fucking depressing, and the ending is like, are you freaking kidding me? And I'm like, those are great movies, and I'm really glad when they make money and when they get prizes and stuff. But they're movies that I'm only gonna watch once because, no offense, but so much shit already happens in my life. I don't need to see depressing stuff too many times. And this was a movie that I just enjoyed. I just had fun, and I would watch many times. So it's Now You See Me. And I found it interesting, I found it fun, and it was unexpected. So it's my number 10.
I actually never seen that movie. I mean, I know what it is, but I've never actually seen it. Always meant to. Just
Beginning of it, and
I
turned it
still
off.
haven't seen the sequel. I want to watch the sequel. I've seen Now You See Me, but I want to see the sequel.
I just heard it's not even close to as good as the first one, so I haven't even bothered to watch it.
alrighty. Well, my number 10 is a study of excess, debauchery, the effect of Quaaludes on the human body. It is, of course, The Wolf of Wall Street. I am a huge, as I've said in previous videos that we've done, that I'm a huge Martin Scorsese fan. He's had a masterpiece in every decade since like the 70s, maybe even the 60s. And well, no, I think 70s is when he really started making his great movies. And I don't know if any other filmmaker can say that. And I believe Wolf of Wall Street is a masterpiece. I know it got kind of panned a little bit by critics and stuff, but I just think that it is a great black comedy. It kind of shows, maybe some of the darker sides of humanity, but it turns it into such a fun romp. And it's so entertaining. And Jonah Hill knocked it out of the park. He was great in that movie. I love The Wolf of Wall Street. It's number 10 on my list, which, as much as I love that movie, there's 9 that I like more. So,
and you could argue that's the hottest Margot Robbie's looked in any movie.
I don't think you even can, or I think it is. I think it should be undisputed on that one. And yeah, I think that's the best way to put it there, James. It's a dark comedy.
Yeah. All right, so that closes out our number 10s. Jerry, you're going to start us off with number 9.
Here's the problem with this whole setup. Is most of these movies I haven't had a chance to replay time and time again, so they're subject to. They're always it's just if I redid this list and watched them all again, it might get something different. But for right now, I'm going with number 9. It's a movie I got to see. I heard nothing about. Got to go and see it free early, and that is it. Man, it had the suspense of Sicario, like added with just great dialogue done by Jeff Bridges and fantastic acting done by Chris Pine and Ben Foster, and that is Hell or High Water. That movie was just, it had me on the edge of my seat. It had me entertained. It was pretty much the complete package of a kind of a suspense drama movie.
Yeah, Hell or High Water, in my opinion, was the most underrated movie of 2016. It wasn't like talked about enough. Didn't get enough Oscar noms. It was just a fantastic movie. Just barely missed my list, but
I don't think people appreciate the levity that Jeff Bridges and Ben Foster brought to that movie. Like, I mean, it was a little bit of a dark heist movie about two guys on the run from two rangers, but anytime it got dark, Ben Foster would either lighten the mood on one side or Jeff Bridges would light it on the other, and it was just incredible. I don't know any other way to put it.
What about when he pulls out that machine gun and he changes the clips and he's shooting at all of them? That's pretty badass.
Yeah.
And
it's also kind of funny when they try and rob a bank and they make the mistake of doing it while it's open, and tons of because it takes place in West Texas, so tons of just normal citizens come at him and be like, "Hell no, you're not robbing that bank!" And the citizens start chasing them and shooting them with guns.
That's the argument about. Oh, go ahead, James. Sorry.
I was just say, Ben Foster and Jeff Bridges get brought the most in that movie, but I mean, Chris Pine was also great in that movie too. I think he gets kind of lost in the shuffle. He did a great performance as well.
That's why they say how safer. If you look at stuff, Arizona and Texas are a lot safer, and they say how if somebody's house gets robbed or if a place does get robbed, there's going to be somebody who would probably step up. But in other cities, they're so gun control that you won't have guns, so only the police are going to help.
Well, LT, don't mute yourself because you're up next. You're number 9.
I muted myself right before you said that. My number 9 is Rise of the Planet of the Apes. I really enjoyed this movie. I know James and Jerry and a few people on this panel they hate the original, not the original Planet of the Apes, but the one with Tim Burton, which I actually like. But this is Planet of the Apes. Tim Burton is down here. This one is way up here. It just exceeds it. It's awesome. And Andy Serkis is the king of whatever that's called. I can't even think. I'm tired. I just woke up. But this movie was definitely an improvement of Planet of the Apes.
I was about to say, hates the original. The originals are all better. But this was a really good movie, though, too. This is unlike that Burton piece of junk.
So I corrected myself.
I mean,
I also liked it a lot, LT.
In all fairness, I could spit on the ground and look at the spit, and that'd be better than Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes. So that's not saying much, LT.
Oh. Hey, other people like it.
I'm just kidding. Tink, you're number 9.
Okay, starting with the superhero movies. Number 9 is Deadpool, which I absolutely loved. I found it was funny. It was just, the action was good. It was it wasn't expected because I just didn't know what to expect about, the first time I saw Ryan Reynolds doing Deadpool was in X-Men Origins, and I think everyone can agree that was the worst thing ever. And I was like,
thank you, David Benioff.
What they did to Deadpool, I was like, and then Ryan Reynolds did Green Lantern, which was even worse, and I didn't think you could go worse. And when they said he was doing a movie again as a lead, and this time as Deadpool, I was like, I know the character, but after the first Deadpool that we saw in X-Men Origins and then Green Lantern, I was like, I don't know if I want this to happen. And then it happened, and it was awesome, and I laughed all the way through it, and I really loved it.
For me, Deadpool pulled a reverse Suicide Squad, where Suicide Squad I was into it because of the trailer. And I was like, oh man, that's gonna be a good movie because of the trailer. Deadpool, I hated the Deadpool trailer, and when it surprised me because how much I hated the trailer, because the comedy didn't hit for me in the trailer, and it just was a pleasant surprise in the movie theater that it was just so entertaining. But yeah, so I'm next, I guess. My number 9. Jerry mentioned it actually when he was talking about his movie Hell or High Water. He said the suspense of Sicario. Well, that's because my number 9 is Sicario, the second Denis Villeneuve movie mentioned on this list after Prisoners. Sicario, I didn't think it was gonna be as good as it was. It has one sequence in it towards the end where it is some of the most tense things, the tense atmosphere in a particular scene that there was in a long time that I've seen in a movie. I think Benicio del Toro was snubbed for sure that year. He definitely should have won the Oscar for supporting actor, I believe. He had a great performance in that movie.
Who
Emily
won that
Blunt,
year?
I don't remember who won that year, but I know it wasn't him, and it should have been. I think it was the same year as The Revenant. So I don't remember who it was. Oh, it was the guy from Bridge of Spies, which I'll remember Sicario much more than Bridge of Spies. But yeah, Sicario, great movie. I think everybody should watch it who hasn't seen it.
I thought that was going to be further down on your list.
Well, goes to the testament of what's ahead. I love Sicario for sure, but I think there's a lot of great movies in this decade. Don Willie, you're number 9.
So my number 9 is a biopic, music biopic, and for someone who grew up in the 80s and 90s, this particular group had a massive effect on me and just, a lot of people around me, and that is Straight Outta Compton. I wasn't sure how good the movie was going to be because there are a lot of times where biopics, they try to over sensationalize stuff, or they try to downplay stuff that really needs to be brought to life. But I think this movie did a really good job of not only portraying how NWA came together as a group, but also, their downfall as a group and later solo successes. And yeah, I mean, listen, there's not too much I can say about the movie. I mean, if you like music biopics, even if you don't particularly like the hip hop genre, I would say go check it out. I think it's a great movie.
Willie, who would you say is the best performance? I think I would have to say, at first I was like, man, Ice Cube's kid is so good, but I thought the guy who played Eazy-E did a great job. And my favorite part was when Cube was dissing them, doing the No Vaseline. That was the best part.
The guy who did play Eazy-E was the best actor in that movie, although they did downplay how much those guys would beat women all the time. But
yeah, I was gonna say my biggest complaint about the movie was especially Dr. Dre. Like they conveniently left out all of Dr. Dre's domestic issues. But
well, when you have creative control, you're gonna make yourself look better. You would. I mean, even I'm sure if Brian McKnight has a life story and he has some control of it, you're not gonna find out how he beat women. And I love Brian McKnight, but he's been known to beat women. I mean, I like him as a singer, but not as a person.
Right. I mean, look, as far as some of the things that they left out of it, yeah, I think it would have made it a little more well-rounded, just to see all sides of all of these guys' personalities. But I think in terms of conveying the story of how these guys came from basically nothing to changing musical landscape and pop culture to a certain extent, I think they did that part very well.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
The only reason I brought that is because they kind of try and frame it to where, the cops are so mean, they rough us up so much. Well, what about all the people you rough up?
Hey, Jerry, so real quick, and I know you'll know because I really respect him as a movie creator and all this, and Ice Cube wasn't one of those, did he? Because he seemed
like he hit women. Yeah.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
I'm done with Ice Cube. I like him as a rapper now, not as a person.
Wait a when?
Yeah, I don't...
They've all had... Dre was the worst, but they all had domestic issues at one point or the other.
Are you sure it wasn't like he got arrested for domestic violence, but it was arguing or like? Because Ice Cube seems like he's always been on the straight and narrow. He's never been in trouble with the law or nothing like that.
Let's
yeah.
Let's rein it in. So that closes out our number 9s. And LT, you're gonna kick us off on the number 8s.
I want to switch to. I want to switch some movies because it would go so good being number 8, but I'm just gonna stay true and keep it what it is. This movie, Bradley Cooper, I really liked him in this movie, and I noticed him. I saw him in other things, but the Silver Linings Playbook, Jennifer Lawrence, well deserved her Oscar. And Robert De Niro, what can you say? Of course, Silver Lining Playbook was really good, and I enjoyed it.
I bought it on Blu-ray. I haven't seen it yet. I need to watch it sometime. But yeah, I mostly heard good things about it. But it looked like Jerry was shaking his head. But
I didn't get that movie, but I guess that's just me.
It's not in my list, but I really like it at all at LT. I actually did think of having it in my list, but it didn't make it in the end. But it is great.
Well, the dancing scene at the end is awesome, and just you go through a person who struggles with bipolar, and and like just I don't know, I just liked it. It's not the greatest movie ever, but it's one of the best movies I've seen so far in this decade.
It's really good.
well, Tink, what's your number 8?
Well, my number 8 is another Denis Villeneuve movie, which I really, really liked, and it's Arrival. For me, it was a great sci-fi movie. Like, we've seen a lot of sci-fi movies, but now a lot of sci-fi movies is a lot of spectacular, a lot of action, a lot of wow, this and that, and I liked this kind of smaller sci-fi movie that it just made you think, and it was unexpected, and it had, and it was a bit like the music, how he used it in the movie when like you go inside of the ship, the droom, droom, droom. It was just, I loved it, and the ending was so unexpected, but it's filmed so well, and the actors are fantastic, and it's what actually made me have hopes for the second Blade Runner, thinking, okay, if this guy is in charge, it might actually be good. So, Arrival is my number 8.
I don't think that's the last time we'll hear from that movie on this list.
I love that movie.
I liked it too. I thought it was really well put together movie. I thought like some of the things in it was kind of stupid, but he did it so well, you didn't even care. Kind of like how what Spielberg did with Jaws. It's like this is done so perfectly. It's just done. You like don't even focus on things like that. You think about the message and how it's being shown to you. Pretty good.
You know what? That actually, is one of the movies that I own. I didn't see it in the movies. I own it, and I have not watched it yet. There's like 10 movies that I have on Blu-ray that I haven't watched yet, and Arrival is one of those.
Well, watch it, Willie. I think Jerry told me about it, and I got it on T-Mobile Tuesdays for rental, and I wish I would have saw it on the big screen.
Great movie. All right, so my number 8 is another movie with a snub, in my opinion. It was a great-looking movie. It was another one where we kind of look into the human psyche, and I believe it was Jake Gyllenhaal who got snubbed from his performance in Nightcrawler. I love Nightcrawler. It was like showing like the skeevious side of a person, just a scumbag of a guy. He transformed himself. It was hard to see it was actually him. Bill Paxton, rest in peace. He had a good performance in that movie. And just the ending. I love the ending of that movie. Like the whole chase at the end. It was spectacular. And I think it's a little underrated too. And I don't know how everyone else feels about Nightcrawler. But if you haven't seen it.
Oh, sorry. That scene where I believe it was Donut Shop where he called the police, right? He called the police on them. Yeah, that was intense. And remember, Nas from I think it was Nas from The Night Of is in that. And you guys told me that.
Yeah.
And I didn't even realize that until after I'd seen it. But yeah, Nightcrawler. Everybody, if you're watching, you haven't seen it, go watch it.
I haven't seen it. I'm not a huge Jake Gyllenhaal fan. When I saw the trailer, I was like, I don't think I want to see a movie about this guy.
I would recommend it. I think you should watch it.
And that's another one that like it really you get the most out of it by seeing it like in a theater where the intensity comes at you. just like Sicario. But yeah,
Tink,
it's really good.
If you watch that movie, you could do a rant on Jake Gyllenhaal's character. Because trust me, you hated his character in that movie.
But Jake Gyllenhaal himself was great in that movie.
No, he was great, but
he played a scumbag. But yeah,
wouldn't you agree, Jerry? If she watched it, we could see a Tinker for that character.
I think Tinker would be more weirded out by him than ranting on him.
Well, I just say it was not. I'm not saying that maybe he should have won it, but he didn't even get a nomination that year, and I think he really should have for that role. Don Willie, you're number 8.
All right, so my number 8 was an action film, and this one was the return, of the Neo-esque Keanu Reeves. This one was, to me, one of his better films, one of his better acting performances, and I love the concept of it, and that is John Wick.
I'm not afraid of John Wick.
I mean, that definitely was one of his better acting performances because there really wasn't much to act. He's like, point the gun, look badass. Boop, boop.
I loved it. It's in my honorable mentions.
Listen, John Wick, I thought was an awesome movie. I wasn't sure if I was going to like it when I first saw it. And I was like, you know what? It was a nonstop action thrill ride. I love the world that they set up with, the whole Assassin's Guild, and they have, all these different rules that they have to follow. They got the safe houses. Yeah, I thought John Wick was excellent. I pre-ordered John Wick 2, so I should be getting that on Blu-ray on Tuesday.
I was about to say, I might even like John Wick 2 better than John Wick 1. I love them both.
I haven't seen John Wick 2 yet, but I don't know how they could give a man a better motivation than they did in number 1. I mean,
killing his
kick
dog?
everybody's ass and
killed his dog and fucking blew up his house. Come on, man.
Yeah.
I can think of a few like
Benicio, of course you can, Jerry.
like Benicio del Toro in Sicario.
I think
children.
And also the underrated aspect of John Wick is the cinematography. It was a great looking movie, especially in the club scene. The colors were really good in that scene. Also, LT, you're gonna need to mute yourself because we're getting your breathing.
My bad.
Also, the action, it's so simple. There's scenes in which he's just shooting people in the head. And like, head. I'm like, dude, it's just the way he does it. Yeah, I like it because it looks very real, not in the sense that it actually looked like the actors doing it, but they still do like ridiculous flips and stuff. No. Here it's just brutal. It's straight on, and Keanu makes it believable. You believe that he's hurt. You believe that he can barely move, but you still believe that he'll shoot them all in the head.
I agree 100%. Like he has very little wasted movement. He usually it's real quick. It's like the opposite of that Revenge of the Sith battle where they're just throwing their lightsaber. But we talked about that garbage already before. So
yeah, Keanu. I mean, obviously he's not the greatest actor in the world, but if I have an action movie, I'd take Keanu on my side in a heartbeat. Jerry, you're number 8.
All right, my number 8. Well, speaking of scumbag dudes and disrespecting women, I just want to ask the audience, does thou like the taste of butter? A pretty dress wouldst thou like to live deliciously? Well, if you do, this movie is for you. It's The Witch, and that was, I don't know how to describe this movie. It is not a horror, but it kind of is a horror. And it's just got one of the most effed up twists when you think about it. And it's
definitely a horror, Jerry.
Okay, yeah. I mean, because what happened, if you think about what happens, it's definitely a horror. But man, another good thing about this movie, so many people took it like in one way. I took it as like, oh my God, this guy, this is crazy. This guy's like the scum of the earth. And then people are like, so some women were like, yeah, women's rights. I'm like, huh? What movie did you see?
The only movie that I could see that compared to is The Walling, the movie you told me, another movie you told me about.
I love Wailing. That may or may not show up on a list. But yeah, I mean, I would highly recommend The Witch. It's so authentic too because they speak in old, like old New England talk dialect. In fact, I think
Kind of like King James version of the Bible. Similar.
I mean, kind of. I mean, it's not quite that, but it is older. In fact, I think most of the dialogue was taken from writings from that time period. So, yeah, it's just if you're, we all know people are Game of Thrones fans. It's got Cleftjaw and what's her name, Lysa, in there.
Yeah, I like The Witch. The only way I can even watch a horror movie is it's got to make me think a little bit, and The Witch did that. I hate generic horror movies, but The Witch I enjoyed a lot.
Yeah, there's nothing generic about it. You think if you think this is gonna be like some Blair Witch bullshit, no.
Sir LT. Oh wait, never mind. You already did number 8. Sorry,
yeah.
My bad. All right, we're on to number 7s now, and Tink is actually going to start us off with the 7s.
Okay, number 7. This one, I cheated outright with this one, but I kind of had
You
two
cheated.
that- Yes, I did. Well, it's more like I generalized, and I just put Star Wars instead of specifying which Star Wars movie. I can see already the shakes, and I can't do that, right? That's cheating. I have to choose.
I'll let it
Nah,
slide.
Jerry's done it enough.
I'll let it slide.
How come I'm getting blamed?
Because you started it.
So are you saying that Rogue One and The Force Awakens are a tie then, basically, Tinker?
Yes, it's just that one has a female Jedi finally getting a lightsaber and fighting. That was just a moment for me. And Rogue One has Darth Vader, one of my favorite characters, just killing everything.
Moment of rage for me, not because she's a female, but because Luke. She's overpowered.
Oh, shut up.
We'll talk about this later.
We'll talk about this later.
Alrighty. All right, my number 7. It's funny. February has been an interesting month. Usually, February is known for that's where all the shit box movies get released. Studios don't care about February; they release their shitty movies. But this year, you had Get Out, which I haven't seen yet, but I heard was a good movie.
I love Get Out.
The Witch you had in 2016.
I love The Witch.
And in 2015, you had my number 7 movie, Ex Machina.
I love Ex Machina.
Yeah, so February is an interesting month because usually that's where the shitbox movies are, but you have these good movies being released. Ex Machina, beautiful movie, one of the best cinematographies I've seen in a while in a movie. Very cool aesthetic, like a stylistic look. A great sci-fi movie, and it's of course once again another cautionary tale on AI, but just a great movie. It's hard to even describe. You have to watch it. There's a lot of suspense in it. I wouldn't. It's definitely not a horror movie. It's like a suspense thriller. But yeah, just great performances by Donald Gleason. What's his name? Oscar Isaac, I believe is his name, and Alicia Vikander, who the three of them carry this movie. And it has a what the fuck ending. And if you haven't seen Ex Machina, I highly suggest you watch it.
Why has that movie not been on any of the major networks? It's been out for a while, but it's not on HBO, it's not on Showtime, Stars, Net. You can only find it on Amazon. So that's why I haven't been able to watch it.
I don't know, but that's another one that I own that I have not watched yet.
Well, yeah, Arrival and Ex Machina should be your number 1 and number 2 of order you should watch.
Come on now, Willie. Arrival's got a spaceship.
Anyway, Don Willie, what's your number 7?
All right, so my number 7, a movie with a spaceship. This one, out of the 3 movies that have come out of this franchise thus far, it is the most closely or highly regarded as being closest to the original source material, and that is Star Trek Beyond. You know, the other two Star Trek movies were okay. Star Trek Into Darkness, the ending was a little overblown, but I think Star Trek Beyond definitely gave you classic Trek feel, you know, and yeah, man, it was I was shocked by how much I actually liked this movie. So no more for me to say.
Right on, Don. Well, let's just say I'll say something about that real quick, and that is, if you're a Star Trek fan, this is the new movie, the reboots you were waiting for.
Indeed, indeed. All right, Jerry, you're number 7.
My number 7. So, speaking of spaceships. Oh, by the way, Tink, you can do the double thing, but you just can't call it Star Wars. Call it Disney space movie. That's what it is. Anyways, back to spaceships. I don't know if anyone else y'all know, but I'm a huge fan of like math and science. I mean, I do math like for a living. So that combined with my love for like, space and all kinds of stuff, NASA and everything. I live where NASA's at. So, and just, like kind of like my love for sci-fi and all kinds of, what if futures. That is The Martian, which is just how do I describe this movie? It's so entertaining, so well written, and it has so much, I don't know, just kind of love for, space travel and driving, and I don't know. But I don't know how to really just to say it, why I love this movie so much. I just like it. It was fun. It was, kind of like a love for science, and yeah, I dug it.
This one is going to be mentioned in the future.
Yeah, The Martian just barely missed my list. It was like right there, Wolf of Wall Street, The Martian. It was like right there. And I'm sorry, Matt Damon was better than Leo DiCaprio in The Revenant that year. So
that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Tom Hardy was better than Leo DiCaprio in The Revenant.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, The Martian.
Yeah, the Martian for me is definitely an honorable mention. It didn't make my list, but it was almost there.
Yeah. Another great thing about The Martian was a return to form for Ridley Scott, who's kind of had some misses here, but
yeah, it was a return to form. But we all know Ridley Scott has trouble doing 2 in a row. So I'll talk. That'll come up later. Let's talk.
It's a handful. Like you can count on your fingers on your one hand a handful of movies that Sean Bean didn't die in.
Yeah. All right, LT, you're number 7.
Now you want to see great acting, see silence. When there's only 3 lines, I believe, in this whole movie. This is the great Robert Redford. It's called All Is Lost. He's on a ship and he's trying to survive. It's a good movie if you've never seen it, and I love Robert Redford and almost everything he's done. So if you've never seen All Is Lost, I would suggest to check it out. It's a movie you could just chill and watch, and it's good. I recommend it.
I'm shocked, LT. I didn't think you'd even seen that movie. That is a good movie. And I'm surprised you're the one to pull that one out. That's a great movie. Yeah. So that closes out our number 7s, and I'm going to kick us off with number 6. And this is an interesting movie because when I saw the previews for it, I was like, oh, this is going to be some run-of-the-mill MMA movie like Never Back Down or whatever those piece of shits were. And I was surprised that they pulled out such a great movie out of a dumb premise like an MMA tournament, and that's because it was much more than that. And then, of course, I'm talking about Warrior. Warrior was really more of a human drama. It was about, family issues, alcoholism, abandonment issues. And yeah, it was a great movie. I don't know, maybe I'm biased because one of my favorite bands is The National, and they did the score for the movie. But I just the end sequence with their song About Today playing, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm not ashamed to admit it. A couple tears might have came out. I don't know, but it's just a great movie, and it has that emotional heft. I love Warrior. So
Nick Nolte was damn good in that movie.
He was a great performance by Nick Nolte.
Good pick, James. Very, very good pick.
Well, you're next, Don Willie. What's your number 6?
Okay, so my number 6. I guess it is time. Sooner or later, you knew one of these was going to end up on the list. That is it's a comic book movie. It's already been mentioned earlier. Not too much to say about this one other than I thought the characterization was spot on, and for it not having the biggest budget, it still probably had the most heart and told one of the better stories, and that is Deadpool. I knew Ryan Reynolds could pull this one off. He was great as Wade Wilson in X-Men Origins before they turned him into Deadpool. But yeah, I thought this was, it was a great sleeper hit, and it shows what actually can be done when you stick to the source material that made it popular in the first place, and when you get someone who's passionate about actually bringing the original source material as close as you can to the big screen. So, Deadpool, number 6.
I highly disagree, Don Willie. I enjoyed Baraka Deadpool. Just kidding.
What are you talking about, Don Willie? David Benioff is a genius. Every change he makes is great. The Deadpool, Dorn, Greyjoy, the list goes on. Troy,
Can we please not put salt in the wounds, Jerry? Please, we've suffered enough actually watching them.
Fucking Jerry.
Well, Jerry, what's your number 6?
My number 6. Going back to the 90s. And, back in the 90s and before, I grew up a pretty shy guy, believe it or not. Pretty much a real shy guy, real observant. So for that reason, I was able to kind of relate, at least in that sense, to this character. And and that is, I forget the guy's name, but he plays Percy Jackson or whatever. But whatever that guy's name, him in The Perks of Being a Wallflower, and that is, I don't know. I read the book too, and he kind of annoys me in the book, but at least in the movie, he's a lot more like tolerable, and it just has a lot of good, also kind of like advice on like how you should treat people, and even like sometimes like even there is a possibility of like being like too nice to where you sometimes enable bad habits. But I mean, overall, it was just a good movie from start to finish. I recommend anyone who hasn't seen it to watch it, and yeah, definitely check it out.
Logan Lerman, by the way.
Logan Lerman, there you go. And watch out for them. Watch out for them wallflowers. We're more observant than you think.
It's a great movie.
He also had a good performance.
What movie is this? I'm confused here.
The Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Oh, okay. I never even heard of it. I'm sorry.
That was the most emphatic I've ever heard of it before in my life. But there you go.
Well, LT, what's your number 6?
Pretty sure some of you guys have seen this movie. The Hateful Eight. I loved it.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny. There was a hell of great gore. You could almost call it, well, I don't know if you call it a horror movie with the gore, but yeah, it was Hateful Eight.
You're not going to comment about the soundtrack, LT?
Oh, the soundtrack was amazing, and the part, I'm not for hitting women at all, but when you spit on a letter that was supposedly written by Abraham Lincoln, she deserved to get hit. I'm sorry.
Great cameo by Channing Tatum too. Great little 5-minute cameo by Channing Tatum.
Jennifer Jason Leigh was amazing too in that, and Samuel L. Jackson, he always brings it in the Tarantino movies. That's nothing new. Kurt Russell was awesome. What's that guy's name? He's on Vice Principals. He was
the best part of the movie.
He was freaking hilarious in that movie. He was also in LT's favorite Major League movie, Back in the Minors. Forget his
I
name.
can't think of it. Yeah, I can't think of his name, but he was the best part of the movie in my opinion.
I'm trying to think.
Walter
who you guys are talking
Goggins.
about.
He played
Walter
down,
Goggins.
yeah. He played
Who do you
downtown.
play? Who do you play in Major League?
Downtown. Remember, he was the hot prospect in Back to the Minors.
See, I haven't
Yes.
seen Back to the Minors in forever, so I don't need. All I remember about that is Scott Beckrell and Dorn being in it, and I can't even remember the rest of it. That movie was an atrocity to two great first movies. Yeah, Back to the Minors is bullshit.
And you know when LT says it's bad, it's fucking bad.
I mean,
Oh,
you know what? I actually know Walter Goggins from The Shield. He played Vic Mackey's, right hand for most of that one, and
Yeah, all you gotta do is say Shane. That's how you get the face. Yeah, Shane. That was Shane. Okay, I can't remember. I can't even remember him from Back to the Minors, but no, he was good in it too. Yeah.
Hateful Eight was definitely a good movie. Barely didn't make it in the top 10. Another great Quentin Tarantino film, but just missed it by that much.
Tink, you're number 6.
Okay. Here we come back to the superhero movies. I'm gonna have a few that are straight. What can I say? I love good superhero movies, and my number 6 is Captain America: The Winter Soldier, the movie that made me actually
number
like
1.
Captain America. Like, this is the movie. Like, I'd never been a huge Captain America fan, and the first Captain America, yeah, it was okay. I enjoyed it, but it was not my favorite movie. He wasn't the standout in the Avengers movie, not even close. And then they made The Winter Soldier, and I was like completely blown away. I loved the movie. I loved Captain America. I loved the partnership between him and Black Widow, and I just loved what they did with the Winter Soldier. He just looked like an unstoppable force, and the friendship between them is just, and how he wants to save Bucky, and then Bucky at the end gets him out of the lake, and it's just, I loved it. It's my number 6.
If you read Secret War and see what Captain America is doing in there, you would love him even more.
I think
Don't start.
I think Winter Soldier is actually probably my favorite comic movie of all time. So didn't make my list though.
I would have picked that for Tinker's number 1, but I guess I'm off here.
Now we'll have to see when we get there.
We all know what Tinker's number 1 is.
All right, so kicking off our top 5 is Don Willie, number 5.
So my number 5, in the same vein that Tinker just came from, superhero movie. This one was the first of its kind because it was the first time we got to see multiple franchises cross over into one movie, tell one cohesive story, and have it be pretty good. And, the chills I got watching this movie on the big screen when I went to actually go see it in the movie theaters.
BBS?
Oh, come on, man.
Suicide Squad.
Oh, good Lord. No. It is.
Fantastic Four.
Fuck you, Jerry. Oh, goddamn, it is the Avengers. This one, I wasn't sure. Like, look, I'm not a big Joss Whedon fan. I don't know enough of his work. Like, a lot of people, before going into this movie were big Joss Whedon fanboys, fangirls, because of Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Serenity and Firefly and all that. I didn't grow up on Joss Whedon, so I didn't know what to expect. And being that I didn't know what to expect, I think this kind of exceeded my expectations beyond my wildest dreams. Now, I'll be honest with you, I don't think it's aged as well as some other movies, but I think like just walking into the movie for the first time and never ever seeing anything like it before, where you had a bunch of different characters who were in different movies all come together and share the screen, and and everybody played a great role in the whole thing. Yeah, to me, the Avengers had to make my list. I would have been remiss if it didn't make the list for me.
I don't know how you missed Josh Whedon before, Don Willie. Buffy was like a superhero, and Firefly had a spaceship. So
Agreed. And Angel was also good, not as good. And Dollhouse I also liked, even if it was the weakest of all.
And
Wait, so I'm supposed to like
Echo.
everything with spaceships and superheroes?
at the top of your list,
Spaceships and superheroes is supposed to be great in my opinion. Damn you people!
at the top of your list, Don Willie, of things you need to watch, you put Firefly at 1, and then Arrival, and then Ex Machina. Because if you haven't seen Firefly, it's like something you have to do.
Agreed.
It's in my queue on Netflix.
And then after you finish Firefly, go watch Serenity.
Yes.
Alrighty. So Jerry, you're number 5.
my number 5. It's another like kind of like The Martian. It's kind of a sci-fi, but it's very, very light on the sci-fi. It has much more to do with commentary about relationships and other things, and that is the movie Her with Joaquin Phoenix. That movie, if you can't see some like analogies and different like ways you've interacted with people, then I don't know. It's just brilliantly done. Should have won Best Picture of the Year. It's real easy to it's real easy to either relate to either Joaquin Phoenix's character in the way he's kind of like the way he is in their life, the way his relationships have gone, the way what's going on now, and also Samantha and her like wanting to learn, wanting to be more kind of thing. I mean, yeah, it's just if you can get over this kind of the silliness of a guy falling in love with this like OS, then yeah, it's got a lot of great messages in this movie.
She's a cheater. She's a cheater.
It was a great movie.
She was Quantum, LT. She's not really a cheater.
But one of the things that I really liked that it showed that it not about like people, not like the actual work of actors. Lots of times that voiceover is not really taken seriously. It's not taken kind of like like acting. And I think that Scarlett Johansson there showed really that how important really is good voiceover and doing like there's never an avatar for her. There's never anything. You only hear a voice, and she makes her real. She makes she makes her sound like a real character, like you're a person that is alive, and you see how important it is people who do voiceovers and how how professional and how good they are. And I was like, Scarlett Johansson did a fantastic job, and she made her real. And if she hadn't been as good, that movie would have not gotten to anyone, would have not been good. It would have sounded ridiculous, as Jerry said. And it doesn't look ridiculous because Scarlett Johansson does a fantastic job.
Wait, who's dissing voice actors? There's a lot of great voice actors.
Kind of like Kevin Spacey and Moon.
In Moon? Oh, you mean when he plays the computer? Or whoever played the computer in 2001 Space Odyssey, who played Hal?
It's not easy being a voice actor, and I don't think they're taken,
No.
as seriously as they should have.
Agreed.
Let's also not forget that that was back when Fat Chris Pratt was still around. Fat Chris Pratt was in that movie too. He wasn't jacked yet for Guardians or
he wasn't
all the stuff he's doing
he wasn't quite that fat. If you want to really see him fat,
Well, he Parks and Rec.
Yeah, like a year.
A little chunky. He was still chunky. He was Chunky Pratt.
Okay.
All right, LT.
Are we on number 5?
Yes, number 5.
Yeah. It's funny because this movie is kind of like a copy, like in a way a copy, not 100% carbon copy, but if Jerry was a fan of this genre, he'd probably, like, if he was excited about this movie and it came out, he would say he wouldn't like it because it's kind of a copy, but it's The Green Inferno. I'm pretty sure none of you guys saw it. Eli Roth made it. It's kind of like our generation's Cannibal Holocaust. It's a really good movie. In this movie, they actually went to the jungles of Peru and they talked to the tribe and they actually showed them Cannibal Holocaust on a screen, and they thought it was funny, and they made a deal with them and they paid them, and they're actually real tribes people in this movie. And it's amazing. You would think they're actors, but it's actually in the jungles of Peru, and it's just Eli Roth is a horror master, and I love all his movies, and I really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, it's not my style, but I respect it, I suppose. It's just not my style. It's not the kind of, I'm not a big Gore Fest fan, but that's just me. Tinker, you're number 5.
I'm still my theme. I've had like 3 superhero movies all stacked up one on top of another. And this is another Captain America movie, which I know a lot of people didn't like as much as Winter Soldier, but I actually liked it more. And it's Civil War. And a lot of people say it's like another Avengers movie, and it's kind of true. They cheated a bit, but what I really liked it's the message of friendship that it has. You know how Steve Rogers will do anything for his friend, and how he cares for him and it stays loyal, and the loyalty that his team has for him doesn't matter what government says, and how he'll go 100% for him. And I really liked it. The friendship that is between Bucky and Steve, it's what really got to me through this movie, and it's just, I really loved it. Also, some of the best fighting scenes in any superhero movie I've ever seen. Like the motorcycle chase, Black Panther was amazing, the airport sequence, and the final brutal fight between Bucky Barnes, Steve Rogers, and Iron Man at the end when Iron Man fires and with the shield, and we just pan there and we see that fight. It was just epic. And it was like the first movie that we saw in which the bad guy actually won. He tore them apart. Steve Rogers and his team are fugitives. He's out to break them out of jail. It's the first time we've seen like a bad guy has truly such a big effect. So I liked it also because they took a great risk. They changed things for the MCU, and I liked it.
Thank you, Tinker, for saying that about the bad guy. I didn't understand. Everyone was like, he's so weak. I'm like, huh? He won. How is he weak if he wins? But I do agree with you about this Captain America, and Captain America has definitely got the best thing going on right now for his series in the movies. Can't wait till they do Secret Empire.
And Giant Man was awesome. Let's not forget about Giant Man.
And hilarious.
You don't deserve that shield. My dad made that shield. Oh man. Listen, Civil War, definitely a great movie. And I think it was kind of an Avengers movie, but it was way more of a Cap story than it was an Avengers movie. The Avengers were background in the movie, but I think that they did a phenomenal job of not only keeping with the tone of what Civil War set up, but also kind of keeping with the tone of what happened in Age of Ultron as well. So great pick, Tinker. Great pick.
So closing out the 5s is me, and my number 5 is the same as someone else's number 5 on this list, and that is, of course, Spike Jonze's best movie, Her. I love Her. Once again, I mean, the fact that essentially Joaquin Phoenix and Scarlett Johansson's voice could carry a whole movie was a testament to them and the direction and the writing. And I think another one of these movies that was very visually aesthetically pleasing to me. I think it has that, like, I don't know, it's hard to explain. Like Drive had it, like the scene from John Wick in the club. It's like they have like sort of this vibrant, almost like 80s kind of color palette that they use, that I really personally like. And Her is another movie that's just great in that regard, and underrated. I think it's a little underrated. I don't think it's talked about enough. When people think back of movies from this decade, I think Her is a great movie.
Should have won Best Picture.
Should have. All right, so takes us to our number 4. Is Jerry, you're starting this one.
All right, as I mentioned earlier, I do math for a living, and I'm a big fan of space. But another aspect of math that I'm what I do is a lot is economics. I got even a degree in economics, and this movie, even though it didn't get the complete story, it blames it all on the banks. It was a very entertaining telling of the 2008 financial crisis. In my opinion, Steve Carell. I was thinking of his name in The Office. Steve Carell should have won an Oscar for this movie, and that is The Big Short. It was shot so well, and it made something that most people find boring extremely entertaining, and really kind of gave a good glimpse to the general audience exactly kind of what went on in 2008. Like I said, it didn't show the complete picture. It blamed pretty much everything on like banks and financial institutions, when really more the root cause was just government policies that had been done over the past 16 years, starting in 92, especially dealing with housing policies. But yeah, the way this movie was done, the way this was shot, the dialogue was excellent, the pacing was excellent, and just, conveying their message was excellent. Big Short. Anyone who hasn't seen it, definitely check it out.
Yeah, I don't think Steve Carell. Go ahead, LT.
Oh, go ahead. No, I was just going to say, I disagree with you, Jerry. I actually thought Christian Bale was better than Steve Carell, but they're both good.
Yeah.
I don't think Steve Carell gets enough props for his dramatic acting. Like, he started as this like nobody on The Daily Show, and I think he's one of the better chameleons in terms of acting that can do comedy and drama at the same time. Like, you look at his stuff from like Little Miss Sunshine, Foxcatcher, The Big Short. Like, I think Steve Carell deserves more props. Like, he's a good actor, dramatic actor. But yeah, Big Short was good. LT, you're number 4.
Also, The Big Short should have won Best Picture that year.
If I consider myself a gambling man, and if I could bet big money, I'd bet that you guys probably never heard of this movie or even saw it. But I'm a big horror fan, and this movie had unknown actors. And I'll tell you, in this day and age, horror movies suck. And when you take unknown actors, that usually makes it awesome. And this movie is called Oculus. This movie was on the money. It's just a good, underrated horror movie, and I can't really describe it. You just have to see it. And like James, you're not a horror fan, but if you want a horror movie to watch, check out Oculus. It's on Netflix.
I heard about it. I just didn't see it, but yeah, I've heard it's good. Tinker, you're number 4.
You're right, LT. I hadn't heard of that movie, but I'm not a fan of horror movies in general. Well, number 4 is my last superhero movie in this list, and it's The Avengers. I am a Joss Whedon fan. I was already excited when I heard that Joss Whedon was doing a big superhero movie. When I saw the trailers, I'm like, this is going to be awesome. When I saw it on screen for the first time, all of these characters from different movies finally coming together in this movie with this Joss Whedon sense of humor. It was beautiful. It was wonderful. I saw it 4 times in the cinema, and it was one of those vindicating moments in which everyone who didn't thought that Joss Whedon could do a great movie, I was like, you see, I told you so. So I felt awesome and I loved it, and I love the Avengers. It's kind of like the first time that you saw so much, because there's a lot of companies right now, Warner Brothers and Universals and stuff, that they want to rush into a cinematic universe. This was like the moment in which Marvel kind of like paid off all their hard work, all their planning. They building little by little, a movie here, another movie there, movie here, movie there. Some of them had done well, some of them had done enough, but not the amount of money that other movies had done. And this was like the moment in which all their hard work paid off. We'd seen two movies of Iron Man, we'd seen two previous movies of the Hulk, we'd seen one Thor, one Captain America, and then it was just like a culmination of all of that work. And I just really wish that other companies, if they want to build a cinematic universe, would really take the time to build up to something like the Avengers, like do little by little, do the work, see and truly use it as an example, and not try to rush ahead like so many are doing and just expecting it to work.
Are you saying that like maybe DC shouldn't have made like what should have been the last movie that they should have done first? Is that what you're saying? Like with BVS?
Yeah, and Justice League is coming out now before their solo Batman, before their solo Flash, before the
Yeah, there'll be more talk about that. My number 4 has already been mentioned, and it is the second Denis Villeneuve movie on my list, and that is Arrival. Yeah, some of the things in Arrival was kind of dumb in the terms like very loose, weird science. They really put the fiction in science, but I can forgive those things if it's properly set up, which they did. They did properly set it up. At first, when they did, I don't want to spoil anything, but when what was revealed, what was really going on happened, I was like, oh man, that's fucking stupid. But then I realized that they did mention something about it earlier, so I can forgive those kind of things, and just use your imagination. But the fact of the matter is that it's beautifully shot. Some of the camera tricks they do with like when they like switch to gravity, that stuff was really awesome. Some of it, like I said, some of it was kind of dumb, but I also love the sort of the unconventional, like, well, once again, I don't want to spoil anything, but where it kind of switched things on your head, what you were perceiving in the beginning. There was a switch there. And to me, Amy Adams, I don't know what she has to do to win an Oscar, but she never can win one, and she was great in that movie. And Nocturnal Animal, was great in that movie
She wasn't
too.
even nominated at that for, right?
Yeah,
shame.
She was. Yeah. I don't know. She was great in Arrival. Yeah, just a great movie. I loved Arrival.
She should have won it that year, I think.
Pretty much.
Because Emma Stone won it for La La Land, and Amy Adams was way better. Yeah, she definitely should have won it.
Yeah. Don Willie, you're number 4.
So my number 4 is not a superhero movie, so fuck you, Jerry. Even before you start, it is actually a Christopher Nolan film that I think kind of changed the landscape for how people will do special effects for a very long time, and that is Inception. A very high-minded, concept-driven sci-fi thriller, and I think the way that he layered the whole thing with the different levels and how time moved differently depending on how many levels down you went in sleep and dreaming, and building landscapes, planting ideas. I think it was a great movie, and even though we got another one of those ambiguous endings where we don't know whether or not the main protagonist survived or not, or whatever happened to him, I still thought it was a great movie. I saw it a couple of times in the movie theaters, and to this day, I have to watch it at least once a year on Blu-ray. So there you go, Inception. No spaceships and no superheroes.
But it is sci-fi.
Great film. Great film.
You couldn't just let me have that, could you, Tinker?
But it is a great movie. I'll give you that. It is a great movie. Although the ending annoyed me. I hated when they do that ambiguous thing. Oh, just go ahead and tell it.
I think you got it. I'm talking about it later, but I think you got incepted, Tink.
Anyway, Jerry, you did 4, right? You started off the 4s?
Yeah. Mine was the Big Short.
All right, so LT, you get to kick off the 3s, the top 3.
This movie James kept on talking about, and I believe Jerry kept on talking about, and I didn't see it till later, but yeah, it's a masterpiece, and that's Sicario. If you've never seen it, the dinner scene is just great justice, and it just takes you back. Like, I paid attention to the cartel theme back when it like really started going down in 2008, and there's a scene where they drive through Juarez, and you see just some horrific things, and it just takes you back to 2008 when Juarez was so bad. This guy made a documentary. It was called 8 Murders a Day, and that's how many people were being murdered in Juarez. It was the worst town in the world at that time. 8 murders a day. It was just bad, man, and just the masterpiece.
Right on. Tink, your number 3.
My number 3 is a movie that came out, well, at least here in Spain, it came out this year, but I think it was last year in the States, which I thought was not appreciated enough in the Oscars, and it's Hidden Figures. Hidden Figures is a movie that I absolutely loved. It was about 3 women that at that time had it like, they were like double screwed. Not only were they women, they were black. So if they weren't discriminated for their gender, they were discriminated by the color of their skin. They had like double the effort to get to do things that other people would have an easier time to do, and they still did, really important work. They in a moment that it was just, I really admired them watching. I remember Taraji P. Henson. I don't even know how she was not nominated, because she was my pick for this year. And I remember that moment in which he's asking her, I don't know if you've seen it, but there's a moment in which, he's asking her why is she suddenly missing for like 45 minutes every single day? And she's like, I have to go to the bathroom, and there's no colored bathrooms in this building. I have to go to the 2 miles away, and she just breaks down. They'd even put like a different kind of like for the tea or the coffee, and they put like one just for her colored, and it was just, you could see it was just so, this racism at this time was just so ridiculous, so stupid, so and just you see her explode, and it's just a fantastic moment with her, and she's all alone, this black woman surrounded by white men who are just looking down at her while she's fixing all of their mistakes. And just, it's a wonderful movie about 3 women who went against great odds and still achieved so much, because they achieved so much. They've been recognized now recently. And it's just, I loved it. It's beautifully shot. It's beautifully directed. The music, I See Victory. I love it. I've got that in my iPod. And it's just, I really, really admire these 3 women and everything they went through, and how they just didn't give up. They could have just, taken the easy route in that time and been housewife with their kids and stuff, but they didn't. They kept on. They believed in themselves. They believed in their work, and they did great things.
Tink, as far as that scene goes, I think one thing you should probably add about that, what made it so good is that her voice kept going up a tone as it went on, until finally she was and it was like a slow build, like at the top of, she almost screamed and then she went back down. That's one thing. The only problem I have about that movie is that the time is off. There was no, but during the 60s at NASA, none of them were really had all that. They all had what they said at the end, their positions at the end, that's what they had at the time of that. This really took place, most of this took place, it actually took place in the 50s, before the formation of NASA. It was when NASA was still in Virginia, like is when the headquarters was for the space program was still in NASA in Virginia before they moved it before they built the NASA in Houston and then the launching in Florida. So that's one thing that kind of annoyed me. I'm like, there was never any of that at NASA, but there was at NACA. So, but it was still a really good movie.
Yeah, great pick.
Oh,
Actually,
if anyone's ever programmed Fortran in Fortran before, you can really appreciate one of the other characters because Fortran's a bitch. It's not as bad as Basic, but Fortran is a bitch to program in.
I actually bought that movie from my mom for Mother's Day, not knowing that she already seen it. But yeah, that was a great movie. Very, very inspirational story, and I think it's an important movie that people need to see. So yeah, great pick on that one, Tinker.
I saw it with my mom, and we were like, when this one coming out, we're like buying it, we're seeing it again.
I haven't got around to it, but I've been meaning to. I'll rent it for sure here in a little bit.
Yeah, it's really good. You should just check it out. Just keep in mind timelines off, but other than that, it's excellent.
Well, I know Tink brought up the Oscars, and we've been saying the Oscars made a lot of wrong decisions, and they did it again this year for animation when they picked Zootopia over my number 3 pick, Kubo and the Two Strings. Zootopia is a fine movie. It's a fine movie, but it's not Kubo and the Two Strings. Kubo and the Two Strings is an epic that you can watch alone as an adult, and even though it's a children's movie, it's so much more than that. It's essentially if The Legend of Zelda was set in like 1600s Japan, you get Kubo and the Two Strings along with an emotional backstory behind it. And really what it's about is accepting death is what the movie is really about. And the fact that Laika, animated this mostly like 95% with just pure stop motion clay animation, and they made such a beautiful movie is a testament to them. I've been telling everybody they need to see Kubo and the Two Strings. People, I know that some of the people here haven't, even though I've been talking about it.
Legend of Zelda, you say, James? Interesting.
Yes.
Interesting.
Anyway, it's a great movie, and like I said, Zootopia is fine, but just because Zootopia had more of kind of like the social commentary thing, I think that's the reason why it won. But I think Kubo should have won it. Fantastic movie, fantastic soundtrack, great visuals. Everyone should watch it. Don Willie, you're number 3.
So my number 3, we are back to the comic books because come on, you knew it wasn't going to be too long. This one is the second in a great trilogy, and no, it is not the one you're thinking about because that was actually last decade. This one is Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Probably if not my favorite comic book movie of all time, definitely in the top 2 or 3, and this one, showed that you could have Captain America in modern times and not have him be cheesy. B, it showed that just because you have a duo of comedy directors does not mean they cannot do dramatic very well. And C, it showed that comic books, that superheroes specifically can be a little more transcendent of the superhero genre, because even though it was Captain America doing all these fantastical things, I think out of all the superhero movies where you actually have someone with powers, this was probably the most grounded in reality in the way that they fleshed out the story. Like, yeah, I mean, you had very science fiction kind of things in there and things that obviously were a little fantastical, but it didn't feel like it was out of place in the real world, and that's what I liked about it.
Right on.
Oh, and before I forget, Hail Hydra.
Secret
Anyway.
Empire.
Jerry, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is another kind of light science fiction style. This has been the decade of like just a small science fiction idea and then just use it to do a movie with it. And that is what's his name? Gleason. We all know his dad from Braveheart. So Domhnall Gleeson.
Yeah. Donald.
Basically, and that is About Time. It's basically about this guy who finds out that he and his I guess father's line have the ability to go back and like point to their lives and relive it, change it, do whatever they want. And like he doesn't do anything like super crazy world ending like that. It's more about decisions he's made in his life, how it affects, and like ways to live his life. Saying goodbye, saying just kind of like it's really just a good story about like life, and they use this vehicle to kind of just talk about some of the things on it, and he just narrates it really well and says a lot of things that just kind of resonate with people who I don't know. I just really like it. I thought it's really clever, and I thought it just makes a lot of good points. So, About Time. Check it out if you haven't seen it.
He's made a couple appearances on this list. Dommel. He was in Rogue One, and he was in Ex Machina.
Yeah, I know. He also. I don't know if anyone's seen Brooklyn, but I don't know if that's gonna make an honorable mention. That's another good movie that he was in. He must have something going on. His dad must have more pull than most other Hollywood dads.
All right, so now we're in our top 2, and Tank, you're kicking us off. Your number 2.
My number 2 is a movie that has already been mentioned, and it's a sci-fi movie, but it's not that far in the future. But it's a movie that when I saw it, I'm like, oh, this is like, I saw it in the movie a few times, and I'd like encourage everyone that I like know like to go see this movie, and it's The Martian. I loved it because it's kind of like, a lot of times that we see movies that are like futuristic and like, oh, the horrible things that are going to happen to us, the horrible things that we're going to do with science. And, I think sometimes we focus too much in the bad and don't try to focus on the good that we could keep going towards. If you only focus on the bad, that's the only thing that's going to happen, bad things. And The Martian is kind of like a future that, like an ideal future, because it's a future which everyone kind of like bands together to save one person. The life of one person really matters. Like right now, there's so many wars going on, and lots of people in power just don't seem to care that so many innocent people are dying for nothing, so that a lot of people can get rich. And it's just, I like the idea in which here America and China actually work together to save this one person, and a person that I like how he says it. He doesn't have superpowers. He's in the most intelligent man in the world, but he explains it. Things happen, and you solve one problem, then you solve the next, and the next, and the next, and the next, and the next, until you either come home or you don't. But he never gives up. He doesn't let get into like depression. We see so many movies and like they get into like this horrible depressive states, and then he never gives up. He's always he does have very bad moments, and you see him get depressed and you get angry, but he also tries to keep a sense of humor and hope and just doesn't give up. And I love it. I love his character. I love the message of the movie, and I love the world that we should be focusing to try to get to, instead of focusing on all the crappy things that are happening right now.
Basically, you're saying everyone needs to start sciencing the shit out of everything.
I love that. That's it. This was fantastic.
fun fact, The Martian was like more than 50% co-funded by Chinese film group. And because of that, they made an agreement where that's the reason why Matt Damon was in that Great Wall movie, was because they got funding for that. He had to repay the favor and do the Great Wall.
Which actually wasn't that bad.
I don't know. I haven't seen it. I can't say anything about it, but that's the reason why he's in that movie.
Well, look, The Martian was a great film. That Ridley Scott returning to the form that he should have never got out of in the first place. Not a word, Jerry. Not a word. All right. Look, this was a great movie, and yes, I own it, and I actually have seen it. So if it was last year, though,
it has a spaceship. Of course, you've seen it.
You know what? Screw you, Jerry. All right, asshole. Anyway, yeah, great pick for that one. Narrowly did not make my list.
To me, like The Martian is like almost like the perfect movie to watch. Like it's like the perfect family movie because it's not offensive. There's not a lot of bad things in it. Not a lot of violence. It's funny. It's cool. It's got spaceships, etc., etc. I think it's a great family movie, and it's just a great movie. In general.
I dragged both of my parents to see it separately. I dragged my mom to the cinema, and then with my dad, we rented it and we watched it.
Well, my number 2 movie is one that's been mentioned before, and it is my personal favorite Christopher Nolan movie, and that is Inception. I'll let Jerry do his analysis on the secret meaning of Inception. I've heard that before, and it's interesting. But yeah, Inception is just a cool movie. It's slick. The premise, if you think about it, yeah, okay, so how can this even happen? Like, how can a guy go into dreams? It's kind of silly, but the fact of the matter is, it's just a great movie. Visually stunning, obviously. Some of the stuff that we were seeing in that movie was spectacular. Great acting. I mean, you have so many great actors in that movie. You got Leo, you got Joseph Gordon-Levitt, you got Tom Hardy, you got Ken Watanabe, you got Marion Cotillard. It's just a bevy of A-listers, and it's just a cool movie. I mean, bottom line. And it has Hans Zimmer. To me, it's Hans Zimmer's greatest compositional work. The song Time, which is played at the end of Inception. I mean, I could listen to that song on like a 20-hour loop. And Hans Zimmer, in my opinion, is the greatest current day composer of film. Yeah.
It's the same song throughout the whole movie, right? They just slow it down.
Yeah, but at the end is when it's the most prominent, when they're going through everything. Yeah, Inception, number 2 for me. I know LT doesn't agree, but yeah. Don Willie.
LT got nightmares from the movie somehow. I don't know.
Listen, and Inception was a great movie, and I mean, you can see some of the other movies it's inspired, like Doctor Strange. Without Inception doing some of the things that it did visually, you don't get Doctor Strange, and there may be some other movies that
No, that's not true. Doctor Strange would have just done it because they would have took it from the comics instead of Inception, because it was in the comics.
I mean, but I'm talking about in terms of the way that they did it on screen. I think that you have to give it up to Inception for being the progenitor of the visual styling that was seen throughout Doctor Strange.
I'll never watch Inception again. I don't want to get nightmares again. Sorry.
I really like the idea of how when they Ken Watanabe comes and says, I want you to do Inception, and they're thinking about the idea that they have to plant in his head, and they plant the whole idea that it has to be a positive, a positive memory, a positive message, because if it's negative, the mind will just shrug it off. And I kind of like the idea of how they have to focus on what he wanted, that was his father's love and pride, and that's what catches him, because something negative will not have the same strength as something positive. I really liked that idea, taking apart the whole that they're manipulating some guy so that he'll dissolve his company. I like that thought, the thought that a positive memory, something connected to love and family, will be much stronger than something that's negative. So I really like that, and I actually found the movie very interesting with the levels and the stuff, and the visual effects were just simply stunning.
Indeed, indeed. Don Will, you're number 2.
So my number 2 is probably going to shock the hell out of people because it is not a comic book movie. It contains absolutely no spaceships, no superheroes whatsoever, and in fact, it is a Western. But it's a Quentin Tarantino Western, and that is Django Unchained. I remember seeing that movie and thinking to myself, wow, not only is it action-packed, not only does it have great acting, great depth, but, it was absolutely hilarious. Quentin Tarantino does this thing again of taking a lot of visual cues from other great westerns and melding them into his own story. I mean, look, first off, Samuel L. Jackson should have got nominated for Best Supporting Actor in that movie because I've never hated Samuel L. Jackson in a movie. I hated Steven. I fucking hated the shit out of Steven in Django, and that was due to the fact that Samuel L. Jackson played the shit out of that part. Listen, I don't know that there are too many more good things I can say about that movie. If you have not seen Django Unchained, you are doing yourself a disservice, and you are doing a disservice to the fucking culture of movie going, period.
I know who would disagree with you because I know a person that hated that movie. We all know her. I think you can guess who it was.
Yeah.
But let's not forget also.
I'm just saying, Don Willie, you had my interest. Now you have my attention.
Curiosity.
Yeah, another great performance by Christoph Waltz.
Thank you, Tink. Thank you.
Christoph Waltz is obviously at his best when he's playing quirky Quentin Tarantino movie characters. But yeah, I love Django. Jerry, you're number 2.
As I was saying, this must have been the decade for light science fiction, and this one's been mentioned before, but it hasn't been mentioned the way I'm going to be talking about it, and that is the Christopher Nolan, Inception. This movie, it's not about dreams. It's not about what whether the thing, I forget what it is, the spinner died, whether that fell down or in the end, if he's in the dream world or not. None of that is all important. What the brilliance of this movie is, it captivated everyone, and to be talking about that and to think about that, when really this movie was all about the art of making movies, which is basically he's put Christopher Nolan is doing an Inception on the audience. He's planning what this movie is, or he's kind of saying that going to the movies is having Inception planted into you when you go in that. And if you look at each character, they represent someone in the making of a movie. Where Cobb, he would be like the director, writer, editor, writer, whatever you want to call it. And Leonardo DiCaprio's character, and then Ellen Page's character would be like the set designer, special effects, whatnot. What's his name? Joseph Gordon-Levitt. He's like the producer, not the money producer, but the guy. You tell him, hey, I'm gonna need a giant chicken for this scene. Go get me one, or I need I need something for this. I need a wall or something. I don't know, whatever. But yeah, that's it. That's what his role is. Tom Hardy, he's playing the actor role where he gets in there and he does all the acting. What was the Asian guy's name? I can't remember his name. Watanabe? Whatever. He would be like the producer of studio, funding. He plays that role. I guess the guy who gives him the drops to keep him asleep. That would be like, I guess, like the theater manager, you know, creating a great atmosphere for you to, you know, to watch it and pretend like you're away from the movie. And then, of course, the guy they kidnap and they're trying to put the Inception on, he plays the role of the audience. So I mean, that's why I'm real big on this movie. Why I just think it was so excellent, because he had everyone asking the questions he wanted to ask, when really those were not the questions you really need to be asking about this movie. None of that really mattered. Dreams didn't matter. Whether you were still in a dream, none of that mattered. It was all about, well, this is the process of making a movie. So there you go. And it was freaking brilliant. It was entertaining. It was visually beautiful, and it gave LT nightmares. So, you know, amazing movie.
Yeah, indeed. LT, you're number 2.
My number 2 is a superhero movie. It's the greatest super movie ever. Suicide Squad. Yeah. No, I'm just that's not a joke, huh, James. James hates it. No, my number 2. You guys have said enough about it. The Arrival. It's a beautiful movie. I think, honestly, if there ever is like aliens coming to Earth, it will be something similar to this. You know, it won't be like where they're just coming down attacking us. It'll probably be some kind of, you know, like our smartest scientists figuring out problems and shit. But yeah, Arrival is my number 2.
So you're saying it's going to be like that? We're not going to plant a Microsoft virus in the mothership to take them all down? Nothing like that?
Don't be bringing up Independence Day. Also, Independence Day Resurgence might be on other lists as well that we're going to talk about. Tink, you started number 2, right? Okay. All right. So we're going to go to our honorable and dishonorable mentions lists. My personal favorite part of this whole ordeal. So I'll start it off. I had a bunch of honorable mentions, a lot of great movies. Interstellar, The Martian, Django Unchained, Deepwater Horizon, Kingsman: The Secret Service, The Social Network, Argo, Captain America: Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 and 2, Inside Out, Hell or High Water, The Town, Deadpool, Nocturnal Animals, 50-50, Spotlight, Nebraska, Inside Llewyn Davis, Kick-Ass, 13 Assassins, and finally the second half of Hacksaw Ridge. The most disappointing movie for me personally was Star Wars: The Force Awakens. Part of that was those first trailers, man. Those first trailers came out, and I was thinking this movie was going to be the fucking movie that we're going to be talking about for years. And it just disappointed me, man. Like, it was still a good movie. Like, it's a good movie. I don't think it's a piece of shit. It's not prequel level shit. It's just disappointed me. It let me down a little bit. The fact that it was essentially A New Hope, rebadged as The Force Awakens. It bothered me. I came out feeling a little cold, and it just disappointed me. But I don't think it's a bad movie. It just disappointed me. Now, these are the fucking shit bombs. These are the fucking nasty movies that poured excrement into my eyeballs. And that is Alice in Wonderland. Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland. What a piece of shit movie that was. I fucking hated that thing. Also exacerbated by the fact that halfway through the film melted, and we had a 20-minute wait for them to get a new one. And like there was like 10 fights in the middle of that. We were like kind of in a bad part of town. That movie was just terrible. Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates. Like, what a stupid movie that didn't even make. I laughed once. It's supposed to be this comedy that, if you're a comedy and you make me laugh once, it's just a bad movie. That movie was fucking terrible. Independence Day Resurgence. What god-awful garbage. I can't even believe they even remade this movie. The fact they even had the balls to remake this movie without Will Smith. Like, he's the one that made Independence Day good. Like, they thought Jeff Goldblum was going to be able to carry Independence Day Resurgence. No. And his father had this stupid subplot. Like, it was just a terrible fucking movie. There was only one good thing about it, and that's when the big queen alien is chasing them at the end. That's literally the only good thing about that movie. Ghostbusters, I'm sorry, I didn't like the movie. You know, I hope that doesn't make me feel, I know that it's got this whole other thing surrounding it. I hope that doesn't make me a bad person for not liking the movie. I just didn't like it that much. Now, here are the fucking
James. You've just
no, I'm not.
You've gotten worse. You're sexist. You're just like NWA. You know,
You're
I'm
not
definitely not-
respecting
you're no
women,
good.
James. You're not respecting women.
I'm not as sexist. I just didn't like the movie. Bottom line, it just wasn't very funny. It was okay. I probably should have put it in disappointing because it's not as bad as the other ones that are in this list. Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. I'm not even gonna rant on this one because I'm gonna rant on the next one. And that's Suicide Squad, the worst fucking movie I've seen in the last 20 years of my life. This movie is visual diarrhea, all squirting all over my face. Fuck this movie. It's the worst movie I've ever seen. The first 50 minutes of this movie is just one long mashup of pop songs, and didn't make any coherent sense. They didn't string together well at all. Slipknot was there just for them to kill off, so you can show what happened with that, what happens with the neck, with the neck things. Like, he was completely useless aside from that. The fact that they were family, this group of people were family within like 10 minutes of meeting each other without any build up to that. It was stupid. The CGI. The CGI was fucking horrendous. I can't remember her name anymore. The bad guy's brother. Like, he was so terribly done. Herself, she was like doing this whole gyrating thing the whole movie.
Oh God, that was just terrible and insulting and just.
She was at a rave. What do you want? That's what they do at a rave.
Fuck that movie. I don't even gotta say anything else.
James, you're missing the point here. I mean, what are they going to do? What if Superman turns bad? I mean, who else are you going to turn to besides the villain? You going to turn to Wonder Woman? You going to turn to Aquaman or the Flash? You going to turn to them? No, you got to go to the villains. That's what you
To me, yeah, Will Smith was fine. Like, he was the only good part of that movie. But that movie was like that film made fucking BVS look like A New Hope or something. Like, that's how bad I viewed Suicide Squad compared to BVS. Like,
But Will Smith, they made him like an anti-hero. He wasn't even like a proper villain. Come on, he was like light, like really villain light.
fuck
I'm
that movie.
surprised you didn't talk about.
I can't hack. No, Daddy, don't do it. No.
I'm surprised you didn't talk about the Joker, James.
Oh yeah, thanks for reminding me. That fucking Joker.
But
That fucking you reminded me. That fucking Joker was the worst fucking.
Can we pretend that he doesn't exist?
We can't because it happened. And that Joker, I don't ever want to see it again. Unfortunately, we're going to. That Joker was disgusting to me. Like,
And pathetic.
I hated that Joker.
And pathetic. That's supposed to be the Joker. That it's like he's more like Harley's puppy. Are we
Fuck that
serious?
movie.
He's not gonna kill you. He's just gonna hurt you, and he's gonna hurt you with a bad movie. Over and
Yeah,
over.
I was hurt. I felt like I was being tortured when I watched that movie.
God, it was just dreadful. Dreadful.
Come on.
all right, James. Quick
Didn't
question.
it look so badass when it said "damaged" over his head, tattooed? Like, it just showed how hurt and how tortured this man is.
That stuff didn't even bother me. It was just his performance that bothered me.
What about
So
the
quick-
gold
quick-
teeth?
Yeah, good.
Quick question,
What's up,
James.
Elsie?
Out of your our last list, like our last three lists, are there any dishonorable mentions that are worse than this one, or is this the worst
No,
one?
like Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes. You know how much I hate that movie?
Yeah.
That's like Wizard of Oz or Citizen Kane compared to fucking Suicide Squad.
So if you got kidnapped by some evil gangsters or something like that, and they said they want to make you watch Planet of the Apes instead, you would pick Planet of the Apes over Citizen.
I would pick Planet of the Apes.
What would happen is it's going to be the Joker who's going to this Joker that's going to kidnap James. He's going to be like, "I'm not going to kill you. I'm just going to show you Suicide Squad over and over and over. I'm going to hurt you. Here you go."
Yeah, I'd be dead. Anyway, I'm done. I'm done. Don Willie, go ahead.
Sorry about that. All right, so honorable mentions and you know what? I'll go with the dishonorable mentions first. So yeah, Hangover Part 2. Fuck that movie. Fuck it. You know, with a giant strap on. Green Lantern. Fuck that movie.
Wait, hold on. What did you hate about the Hangover Part 2 other than it was the Hangover Part 1, which is pretty much the same argument you could make with The Force Awakens and New Hope?
Well, listen, I'm gonna get to that, but yeah, listen, just Hangover Part 2 was not a good fucking movie. whatsoever. I went to the movies to see that one, and I wanted to riot because that movie was so fucking offensive to my being.
But
Yeah.
are you implying that the first one is actually good?
Not really, but but that one just went. They just like, yeah, we're gonna take all of the dumb shit that we did and make it even dumber for this one. So no, I can't. Nah. Let's just
That
move
takes
on.
effort. That takes effort.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about this one anymore. Please. I gotta move on. Green Lantern. Yeah, I should have known that one was gonna be bad, but I was hoping that they might do it some justice. But yeah, that movie sucked. Conan the Barbarian with Khal Drogo, that one sucked.
That wasn't the worst thing ever. It was not good, but
Yeah, it was still bad.
He had the best look for Conan. The movie wasn't that great, but he looked great as Conan.
Yeah, but the movie sucked. It doesn't matter how good he looked as Conan. The movie sucked.
I mean, he looked significantly smaller than Arnold, which is, I mean, everyone's gonna look significantly smaller than Arnold, which is why you shouldn't make another Conan movie because Arnold was a man.
All right. Well, can I get to the rest of the movies that I hated so I can get to the ones I actually
I've noticed none of these movies have spaceships.
Whatever. Anyway, another one that totally fucking sucks. Kick-Ass Part 2. The first Kick-Ass was a good movie, and Kick-Ass 2 just totally fucked that over. Let's see here. Iron Man 3, a lot of people say that was, if not the best out of the trilogy, then the second best. I don't know who the fuck these idiots are, but Iron Man 3 sucks. Let's see. A Good Day to Die Hard. Bruce Willis just going for the damn check. Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. Suicide Squad. I don't have to say anymore. James has already said everything about that. Alice in Wonderland, another trash movie. Clash of the Titans and Wrath of the Titans, both absolutely terrible. The American. I usually like George Clooney. That movie was fucking boring as all hell, and I have no idea what the hell the point of that movie was. Tron Legacy. Just you see, they fucking scrapped the series after that movie, so that goes to show you how badly that one sucked. The Hobbit.
Leave some movies to mention to the rest, Tom Willie.
All right.
Your list.
Only a couple more. Because I'm trimming down some of these. The Hobbit: The Battle of the Five Armies, overblown piece of shit.
Oh come on, wasn't that bad?
It wasn't that good either.
The third one was kind of bad. I'm gonna have to agree with Don Willie on that.
Compared
one. The first two were alright.
Yeah, compared to every other movie in the Hobbit, Lord of the Rings series, that one, they just stretched it out. Yeah, they stretched it out for no good reason.
You didn't like that ice battle they had?
Nah.
And it was stretched out because the studio forced him to make 3 instead of 2.
All right. Let's see.
Stop Warner Brothers. I think that's the theme.
Yeah, basically. Fat Four Stick. Let's see. Batman vs Superman. I think I already mentioned that one. The Force Awakens. I got to put that as a dishonorable mention. It's not that the movie sucked, but it's like, yo, come on, you can't go and repackage lemonade, and just because you threw some pink dye in it, it doesn't make it a different fucking drink. So it's got to get a dishonorable mention, just for the simple fact that they just tried to repackage A New Hope as a different movie, and yeah, I didn't like what they did with Rey, not because I didn't like the character, because I thought that Rey was actually a good character, but her
Jedi Master, and after 2 seconds,
I mean, like, how does she know anything? First off, she didn't even know about the Force before she meets up with Han Solo and Finn. and now all of a sudden she knows how to do, you know.
Her first act was controlling a mind, which is what
Yeah,
Luke couldn't do until Return of the Jedi.
I'm like,
I had
how does she even know about the Jedi mind trick to begin with? So if they have some way of explaining that in the next movie, where maybe she knew all that stuff and somehow got mind wiped, okay, I'll buy it. But until then, I got to take points away just for the fact that they gave her abilities that she shouldn't have known if she didn't know anything about the Force. But anyway,
what about her winning the fight with no training versus a guy with, you know, years of training? Even though he's not quite complete, his training isn't complete. He's had years of training.
Chewbacca blew him away with that.
No, that doesn't work because he's Dark Jedi.
No, I'll give it that because they both knew how to fight, though. They both knew how to fight. She got the better of him, and plus, remember, he got shot already. He got shot by the boat.
That's never stopped the dark side before. They've always been like taking that anger and pain and converted into dark side energy. Always.
I mean, yeah, but look, he already got hit with the bowcaster, which you saw what the bowcaster was doing to the regular stormtroopers. So it took a lot out of him just to try to stay up for that one.
Dark energy.
He did get injured fighting against Finn.
That's
right?
another one.
So, you know, so I'll say that she should have won the fight because Kylo Ren was injured. Kylo Ren with absolutely no injuries, I think, mops up the floor with her. But remember, she also showed that she could fight anyway. It's just that she hadn't had training with the lightsaber. So I'm gonna give a pass on that one.
I'm just gonna quote Han Solo here. That's not the way the Force works.
My question is.
Let's just move on. Come on.
Wait a minute. Let James get his question out real quick.
My question is, why does she even need to get any training from Luke? I don't understand why she even needs to get any training. I mean,
I don't know. But all right.
I mean, it would make sense if in this next movie she's like, Last Jedi, that's because you're dying. I'm stronger than you. Oh.
All right. I'm the
Last Jedi now.
I want to get to my last one because a lot of people seem to like this movie, and I have absolutely no idea why, because this is another retread, and that is Mad Max Fury Road. I found this movie to be downright fucking offensive to my sensibilities of, again, it's another one where you can't just pour pink dye and fucking lemonade and tell me it's a different drink. Mad Max Fury Road, people heralded it as this fucking masterpiece of filmmaking. That shit was fucking Road Warrior all over again with worse villains. So, yeah. Honorable mentions quickly as I can. Kick-Ass, Scott Pilgrim versus the World, The Fighter, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Warrior, The Iron Lady, Red Tails, Chronicle, 21 Jump Street, Dread, Looper, Skyfall, Wreck-It Ralph, Lincoln, the first two Hobbit movies, Man of Steel, 42, Pacific Rim, Gravity, Captain Phillips, 12 Years a Slave, American Hustle, Days of Future Past, Edge of Tomorrow, Guardians of the Galaxy, Get On Up, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Gone Girl, Interstellar, Kingsman, Selma, Ant-Man, The Martian, Hateful Eight, Civil War, Doctor Strange, Rogue One, and Expendables, Social Network, X-Men First Class, and guilty pleasure to a movie that Jerry absolutely hates, Prometheus.
Well, you're about to. Never mind.
I said guilty pleasure.
You're up next, Jerry. So go ahead.
All right. So I don't want to mention anyone's honorable mentions, but I agree with most of those on those lists. I don't think anyone mentioned Brooklyn. I like that movie a lot. Green Room was awesome. The Wailing was fucking badass horror movie from Korea, but even better from a horror movie from Korea. Probably the best zombie thing I've seen in years. That's Train to Busan. Let's see. I really enjoyed the Evil Dead remake. It Follows was a pretty interesting and really good and original horror, even though it was a bit interesting. The Conjuring was good. Babadook was good. I know I know. I'm just gonna say Whiplash, but because I know I know that's gonna be on someone else's list here, but I don't think anyone's mentioned it on their honorable mentions. I did enjoy the Godzilla movie, but I preferred Shin Godzilla that recently came out. And then I think everyone's mentioned all the rest of my honorable mentions. Dishonorable mentions. So we'll start with, these fucking. This is this decade of rehashing and remaking without trying to be all clever. Just naming it something else. Jurassic World, The Force Awakens, Mad Max. And though some of them weren't that, I probably like Mad Max the best out of all those, but. And then whatever Disney's doing with whatever their space movie, it's no longer Star Wars at this point. It's just Disney space movie. It's no longer. It's not even Star Wars. Let's stop pretending it is. They have the rights to the name, but it's not really it because it's just not. It'd be like if Disney bought fucking A Song of Ice and Fire, and they started having. Gendry and Arya dance together. That's basically what we're doing here. So, enough of that. But the worst movie that I think I've ever seen in my life might have came out in this decade. And I don't even want to get on too much about how fucking retarded these characters were. Each and every one of these characters was fucking stupid. They all reminded me of the kids you see like in a Friday the 13th or not any horror movie where you're like, man, they're so stupid. I just want to see them killed. That's exactly the characters you had here in Prometheus. I don't even want to get into, the stupid, two stoners that are acting like Shaggy and Scooby-Doo going into the room. Looking at that goo and seeing this giant alien penis come out of nowhere, and they're like, how beautiful it is. And, of course they get killed like fucking morons. Bring it back on like fucking morons. Another guy gets infected, doesn't tell anyone like a fucking moron. Everyone's just acting like a fucking moron. Never mind that we're creating ridiculous situations just for dramatic purposes, like Charlize Theron for some reason has all the money in the world and decides to bring she brings a medical equipment for her, but for some reason she brings one that's meant for guys. I don't know maybe there was something more going on there that they didn't mention. I don't know why she had a male thing going, but whatever. Never mind that the fucking. That these fucking, I guess the space, we're talking about the space jockeys now, but now we're calling them engineers and saying that they're the intelligence of the universe. But never mind that they come out looking like a 10-foot fucking Kratos and have about the intelligence of the bulls that run at the matadors and just run all over the place. They're charging at people like fucking Adam Sandler and the Waterboy, like oh my god. Never mind all of that. Never mind that for some reason they get Guy Pearce to play a role in this thing, to play an old man exclusively as an old man. Why didn't you just cast an old man instead of this horrible makeup? Never mind all that. This movie was fucked from the fucking beginning, from the opening, and how people who say that this is some kind of like an intellectual movie of any use that like, oh yeah, you don't like it because it doesn't have action. It's an intellectual movie. I'm like, bro.
Jerry, can you please get to the point?
I'm about to get to the point. I'm like, bro, do you even science? Because there's nothing intellectual about this movie at all. It is a fucking betrayal to science in general. You got these fucking dumbass scientists. I don't even want to call them scientists, but they're just like, oh yeah, we how do you know that they're there? Like they ask him, how do they know? How do you know? He said, oh, we don't know. We didn't do any of the data. We didn't do any of the science mythology. We just have faith. That's the key to it all. We just have faith. Worst scientists ever. It's a no wonder everything goes up to shit because they don't know what the fuck they're doing. They're terrible science. That's not how you do science at all. And the fact that people actually like this movie, it explains everything about why like science numbers in America are plummeting because this fucking shit movie, it's just so stupid. Like the only reason this movie exists is from a fucking stupid premise, and the only reason it continues is people acting stupid, and the only thing anything happens is from stupidity. It's just I can't take it. And then to make it worse, they even double down on it with Covenant, and you know I could rant about that too. But
no spoilers. No spoilers.
Let's just say they double down on a lot of stupid shit there, but the characters quite aren't as stupid, but they still push the stupid shit. And you know what? They just fucked up all the lore. They fucked up the lore. Everything. They fucked it all up.
I happen to love Prometheus, and I don't care what Jerry says.
Well, I know you do, LT. That's because you like the visuals, and I need something more than that.
All right. Well, are you done yet, Jerry? Seriously. No, in fact, you are done. You're done.
Yeah, I'm done. And I got one more disappointing movie, and that's from I'm a big fan of Seth Grant Smith's work, and that's Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. I was hoping more from this movie. This book is pretty entertaining, and the movie sucked. Oh! Fuck Dark Knight Rises. I can go on to that, but Batman doesn't quit. Fuck Chris Nolan in that too.
That I completely agree on. Wow, when I saw the ending, I
know it's gonna be on your list, Tink, so I don't want to go too far into that. Maybe I'll pitch in there. Fuck Prometheus. Fuck the stupidity. Fuck it all.
I don't have much of dishonorable mentions, but honorable mention: Prometheus, The Martian, Suicide Squad. Sorry, I know you hate it, James, but I love it. I don't think that I don't get how everybody hates the Joker so much when he was barely in the movie. He was like 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes max. But anyway,
it's a betrayal.
I can't think of any more. I don't really have any dishonorable mentions. So
I would say this, LT.
Yeah.
Just because he's barely in it, like if you're watching a movie and like for some reason they have a random scene of someone taking a shit for 5 minutes, it's still shit. Even if it's not 5 minutes, it's still shit.
I would never put him in the league of Jack Nicholson and I'm so tired I can't remember the other guy's name, but he was great. We all know he's great.
He's not even as good as Cesar Romero.
What? Okay, whatever. That's not a movie, that's a show, isn't it?
Well, there's a movie too.
Yeah. All right. A lot of honorable mentions you guys already mentioned that I have on there too, but that's it.
All right, Tink, go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to try to not repeat, so I'm just going to mention the ones that I think have not been mentioned because I've got long lists anyways. So honorary mentions, John Wick, Chef, Zero Dark 30, Ant-Man, I think it hasn't been mentioned either. And now the others have been mentioned. I'm not going to repeat myself. Dishonorable mentions. I'm going to go to the ones that haven't been. There's some that just need to be repeated. Batman v Superman, Green Lantern, Suicide Squad. We can all agree they were horrible, horrible, terrible, terrible movies. And I agree with everything that James has said. Then the ones that have not been mentioned, and I'm surprised that were mentioned, is Snow White and the Huntsman. How did no one mention that this movie actually made money? With money!
That movie was trash. I'm glad you mentioned it too. That movie was trash.
Kristen Stewart is more beautiful than Charlize Theron? Are you joking? In what universe? And I'm not even a lesbian. Are you nuts? And that accent that terrible British accent that came on and off, on and off, on and off. You didn't know which guy was the one who kissed her and she woke up. Was it the prince that was supposed to, or the huntsman that it was terrible. The story just didn't make no sense. She was horrible. She was just in the entire movie. I love fairy tales. Everyone here knows by now how much I love fairy tales. And what the hell did they do with this? It was horrible. It was terrible. And I just felt a great pity for Charlize Theron and Chris Hemsworth, because they were actually trying their very, very best. And not even they could save this movie, because it was a train wreck from beginning to end. Then Tintin was another insult, because I love Tintin. I've seen.
Whoa! I like Tintin. That wasn't a bad
the
movie.
movie, like they made them from comics to like in animated movies. And back when I was little, back in the days where there used to be VHS and everyone used to buy newspapers, and then you'd buy a newspaper and they'd give you like a movie at the time, that they would give you like something with it, and they used to give VHS of the Tintin movies. And my grandfather loved to buy the newspaper, so he had all of the Tintin movies, and I used to watch it always at my grandparents' home with the song. I love Tintin, and I was so excited when I heard that Steven Spielberg was making this movie, and it was horrible. It was horrible. It was not Tintin. It had the names, it had the characters, it had everything, but it didn't have the spirit. They made it into an action adventure movie that was just bad, because I fell asleep in the cinema in the third act. I felt it was just.
I liked it.
I remember Tintin from HBO when I was a kid. I would watch it on HBO.
It was bad. It was
I thought it was a very charming movie.
Then you obviously did not like the original source material.
I like that too.
Ha! No. Clearly no. Then The Dark Knight Rises. Since when does Batman retire? Since when? Since when does he retire? And then he's like falling apart, but in like 5 seconds, he's back in form. And then at the end, he goes and has a happy ending after he erases himself with Catwoman? Are you kidding me? This is just no. The Dark Knight Rises was a horrible ending to a great trilogy. And the worst part is the first two were so good.
What about I'm Gotham's Reckoning?
What about that, Batman, the reason he put on the cowl is so no child could ever feel the pain he felt from losing his parents, and then he's just like, my girlfriend died. I'm done. Fuck the children. They don't matter no more. It's all about my girlfriend. This Batman, he's all about the chicks. Like the only reason he comes back is because fucking Catwoman steals his mom's pearls, and he's like, ooh, look at this girl.
But I'm Gotham's Reckoning.
Yeah, and then you got this dude.
But there's one other movie that I felt was the most horrible, worse than Batman v Superman, worse than Green Lantern, worse than Suicide Squad.
But not worse than Prometheus, for sure.
Yes, Jerry. And I don't understand how it has not been mentioned. It is based on a TV show, an animated TV show, which I absolutely love, to the point that I actually have, I don't know if anyone recognizes Appa from The Last Airbender. No one's seen The Last Airbender?
I've not seen
I
it.
purposely avoided it.
That's the only movie of M. Night Shyamalan I've never seen, and I love M. Night
Don't
Shyamalan.
see it. Don't see
I've
it. The
never
Last
seen it.
Airbender, the TV show, was absolutely wonderful. It was magical. It was funny. It was entertaining. It was well done. It was diverse in both with gender and race, and they destroyed it. They put an entire season in one movie. They oh my God, the special effects were terrible. The actors were terrible. The writing was terrible. There was just nothing that was good. Nothing that was salvageable. Nothing that wasn't horrible and terrible and awkward and painful and ugly. Not even the locations were good. There was nothing. The costume and the art, Nothing. There's just nothing that can be salvaged. How is it possible to do an entire movie in which there is not one thing that you can like? Even Appa. Look at Appa. He was adorable. He was cute. And they made him ugly. They made him awkward. They make him fake. They make every single actor that they just. It was monstrous. It was horrible. It was insulting. It just. I understand that M. Night Shyamalan has done other movies later that, now that are liking, but I refuse to see a single more movie about him because this movie should have crashed, destroyed, obliterated his career.
I'll tell you why I skipped it. One, Shyamalan was on a shit run. He was making terrible movie after terrible movie. Two, I didn't watch The Last Airbender. Three, I saw what happened to Dragon Ball Evolution, and so I figured they were gonna.
God, that movie does not exist. It does not exist. I've erased it from my mind.
So I was just like, yeah, I saw this garbage coming a mile away. But at least it was just a betrayal to The Last Airbender. It wasn't a betrayal to all of science.
Let's not bring this around to Prometheus. You made your point clear.
I can't take it. I can't take it. The Martian. Science the shit out of things, and Prometheus is like, let's shit on the science.
Let's move on, please. Let's move on because the dishonorables are just painful. And anyone who hasn't watched the Last Airbender animated show should really, really watch it because even if it was meant for kids, it's just wonderful for like all ages. I loved it.
Well, let's go on to let's finish this thing out. Let's get to our number ones, and remember we're going to recap 10 through 2, and then we'll try and guess your number one. Don Willie, you're going to start us off.
All right, so 10 through 2, we got Dallas Buyers Club, Straight Outta Compton, John Wick, Star Trek Beyond, Deadpool, The Avengers, Inception, Captain America Winter Soldier, Django Unchained. Can you guess my number one?
Can you guess it, Jerry?
Come back to me. I'm thinking right now.
LT.
I got it. It's Interstellar with the spaceship.
I know it's not Interstellar because that was on his honorable mentions. But LT, go ahead.
Never mind. Hold on.
I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna make a whim here, and I'm gonna guess Suicide Squad as your number one.
I don't think it's Suicide Squad. Tink, you have a guess?
I don't know. I'm absolutely terrible at guessing. But a movie that I really, really like and that I'd completely forgotten about, I don't know how. So I'm just going to say it. Kingsman.
I can't remember if he had Rogue.
I don't think he had Rogue One on there, did he?
Yeah, I don't remember if he had Rogue One on honorable mentions. So I'm going to say Rogue One.
Yeah, I'll go with Rogue One, too. Disney space movie, the Rogue. I knew it was a space movie.
Go ahead, Willie. Reveal.
You guys are all super wrong, especially you, Jerry. My number one is actually The Wolf of Wall Street. As someone who actually worked briefly in the banking industry, especially a brokerage firm, it brought back a lot of memories of ridiculous hijinks and, people trying to one-up each other to see how much money they could possibly get. I think it was one of Leonardo DiCaprio's better performances. And it was a great film by Martin Scorsese. And yeah, man, Wolf of Wall Street for the 2010s so far is my absolute favorite film. So there you go.
I'm down with it. Jerry. 10 through 2. You're muted.
All right, 10 through 2 is going to be the 10, Cabin in the Woods, 9, Hell or High Water, 8, The Witch, 7, The Martian, 6, The Perks of Being a Wallflower, 5, Her, 4, The Big Short, 3, About Time, 2, Inception.
LT, take a guess.
Sorry about that. It's this is
Jerry's.
is it?
Jerry's.
Oh, okay.
Uh-oh. Don't have LT. Tink, take a guess.
Skip me. I hate guessing.
Well, I think it's Scott Pilgrim. Is my guess. It's Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Scott Pilgrim was
Don
mentioned on some of the honorable mentions.
I'm gonna say Ex Machina.
LT, you have a guess?
I had it, but I can't remember. I just had it. Never mind. Just I don't know.
What is it, Jerry?
So I said in my dishonorable mentions that I'm.
Oh wait! Scott Pilgrim versus the World. I didn't know if he said it, but yes.
That was my guess. That was my guess, and he said no. Go ahead.
I said Seth Grahame-Smith is one of my favorite. I'm a big fan of his, and I really like to laugh in the movies. And Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies really made me laugh in the movies.
You're doing it to screw with me.
And yeah, I am doing that to screw with Tink. You should have guessed that. This was pretty funny, and even though, like I said, it was mentioned in the honorable mentions, it wasn't in my honorable mentions because it is indeed Scott Pilgrim versus the World, which, you know, Marvel's been on a fucking tear with this decade and made movie after movie after movie. That's just been excellent. You know, Guardians of the Galaxy, Captain America movies, the Avengers movies, and you know, they've all been awesome. However, this silly kind of strange movie has a lot more to say, and just I don't even know how to say it. Just says a lot more in this movie than any of them, because it's like pretty much a movie about just like kind of like growing up and making decisions. Like all of Scott's decisions are, you know, decisions that you can, but like he's not meant to be a real likable, wonderful character. He's meant to be a flawed guy who, you know, makes the decisions the dumbass decisions that, you know, we all make when we're younger, you know. And it's all done in like just a brilliant, like entertaining way. And like even Ramona's got her own issues, you know, that manifest into other people. And in the end, they grow some, but they still, you can tell they still have a lot of growing left to do, and they still kind of make probably the wrong decision. But, you know, that's pretty much how anyone is at that age. And that's one of the reasons why I just love this movie. Edgar Wright brought his freaking A game when it came to the directing of this movie, the editing, the entertainment. Yeah, it was just an amazing and underrated movie. Should have won Best Picture of the Year that year.
All right. LT, recap your list.
Number 10, Prisoners. Number 9, Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Number 8, Silver Linings Playbook. Number 7, All Is Lost. Number 6, The Hateful Eight. Number 5, The Green Inferno. Number 4, Oculus. Number 3, Sicario. And number 2, The Rival. Can you guess my number 1?
All right, so I know Tink doesn't want to guess. I'll guess. I know you, since you like Planet of the Apes, Dawn, the Planet of the Apes. I thought Dawn was better than Rise anyway, but I'll say Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Don, Willie, Jerry, you guys have any guesses?
You know what, James? I'll second you on this one. Dawn.
I'm gonna third you on this one.
You're all wrong, Jerry. The best movie you ever recommended to me, The Witch, is my number 1. This is a masterpiece. When Jerry's like, I don't know if you call this a horror. This is a horror movie. I don't want to spoil the ending, but it's one of the most intense scenes I've ever seen in a movie, and you don't see much, and it's just brilliantly done. The language, everybody complains about the language, and people say it's boring, but no, it is a complete masterpiece in my opinion.
Surprising. I think you liked it better than I mean, I liked it, but you guys obviously liked it more than I did. But Tink, go ahead.
Okay.
Well, 10 through 2 first, and then
Yes.
yeah.
I don't think mine is going to be particularly hard. 10, Now You See Me. 9, Deadpool. 8, Arrival. 7, Star Wars. 6, The Winter Soldier. 5, Civil War. 4, Avengers. 3, Hidden Figures. 2, The Martian.
All right. Well, I'm going to guess, since you said no more comic book movies, I think you said that. I'm gonna guess the Beauty and the Beast remake. Don Willie, Jerry, LT.
I'm gonna guess Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies. No,
Yeah,
I'm
we
just
all-
kidding. We
Tinker,
all know it's Beauty and the Beast.
James and Tinker are the easiest. Yeah, Beauty and the Beast, definitely.
I mean, seriously, if you mention Pride and Prejudice and Zombies one more time.
It's so funny. I had a good time watching it.
It's an insult to Regency era. Everything about that movie is wrong.
Comedy. It's funny. I love this.
We'll go ahead and reveal your number one, Tink.
Beauty and the Beast. It is, as I said, it wasn't going to be hard. I loved it. But the first Beauty and the Beast was also number 1 in my previous list. And it got everything about the first one and just made it better. Belle was better. They added more songs that were actually great. It looked gorgeous. The set, the costumes, everything. I thought that the casting was absolutely perfect. It's just, I loved it. I loved it.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
I'm
Well, my number.
unapologetic.
Go ahead. Oh, no problem. No problem. I wanted to actually watch that movie with my girlfriend. Just didn't get around to it. All right, so my number 10 through 2 is 10, The Wolf of Wall Street, 9, Sicario, 8, Nightcrawler, 7, Ex Machina, 6, Warrior, 5, Her, 4, Arrival, 3, Kubo and the Two Strings, 2, Inception. I know Jerry and LT already know my number 1. So, Don Willie, do you know my number 1? I'll let Don Willie try and give a guess.
Number 1. I know it's not a comic book movie.
Doesn't have spaceships either. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Let's see. Do I possibly have it in my collection? I don't think I have it in my collection.
Don Willie, it's Magic Mike.
Wow.
It's not Magic Mike.
Wow. You know what? Now, you know what? I don't know.
All right. Well, I know Tink doesn't want to guess, so I'll let Jerry and LT. You guys can split it out.
A movie that you've told me about that's great that I've been meaning to see. I just haven't got to see it. Whiplash.
It is indeed Whiplash. To me, it's just the perfect movie. It's like an action movie. It's like paced like an action movie. It's kind of like an action movie if it was, set to what it is. It's a jazz movie, but it's an action movie, and I just find it fascinating. I think the performance by J.K. Simmons was fantastic, and he got what he deserved. He got the Oscar that he deserved. To me, it was far better than Birdman, which won the Best Picture that year. Whiplash is far superior to Birdman, in my opinion. And it is the better Damien Chazelle movie than La La Land. I'm sorry, Whiplash. He gets all this. He's getting all this praise for La La Land, but I thought Whiplash was 10 times better than La La Land.
I'm not as big on Whiplash as you are, James, but I do agree that it was better than Birdman and better than La La Land.
I like Whiplash also. It's not on my list mainly because I hate all the characters. I really just hate them. So a movie, no matter how good it is, if I cannot connect, if I don't like the characters, if I don't want them to do better, to go forward, to whatever, it's lost on me. I think it'll be a great movie, but I just won't watch it again.
Right. I mean, it's a dark film. I mean, Chazelle himself stated that, it's open to interpretation for anybody, but his interpretation, the creator of the film, was that Neiman, Andrew, Miles Teller character, eventually would become an addict and die of an overdose of heroin. So that was his interpretation of what would happen to his own character because of his drive and his problems that he had. But to me, it's a great film. I love it. That's why it's my number 1. So we have come down to the end. We started from the 70s to 2010 or to 2010 to present. We may eventually go back into the past, to the pre-60s, the golden era of cinema, and maybe do that list sometime. I apologize. I've been so busy with school that I haven't been able to make videos, and hopefully this summer I can maybe do some here and there. But yeah, we'll go down the line and everyone will say their goodbyes and do whatever promotion they want to do or whatever. So we'll start with Don Willie.
Thanks as always for having me. Glad to be doing this list. It wasn't all spaceships and superheroes for the people out there who think that that's all I'm about. Don't let the damn hats and the t-shirts fool you people. All right. Look, I'm a little under the weather. Been having a cold lately. I'm working on a couple more theory videos, and I might wind up doing a live stream later this week for those who've been wanting to see me on camera, since I haven't been doing any on-camera videos for a while. But look, you guys already know where to find me. Rate, comment, subscribe, share, tell your friends, and come back for more. And that's been my time. Just Don Willie St. Valentine Harris.
Jerry?
Yeah, thanks for inviting me on here, James, with you, Don Willie, LT Lannister, and Tinker. Thanks for joining, and yeah, hopefully we get to do some of the older movies. Looking forward to show off some of what I had back there. But yeah, fuck Prometheus, fuck that movie, and just fuck it. It ruined 2 fucking movies, maybe more. It might have ruined. I still need time to think, because I just recently saw Alien Covenant, and I didn't get so mad because of Prometheus, but holy shit. Anyways, yeah, I would also suggest, if you haven't watched them, watch Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies and 1010. See which one of us you agree with. Do you agree with me, or do you think they're funny? Do you think they're the spawn of Satan, like Tink does?
LT.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure, Mr. James. It's always great to be here with you guys and this is very fun, and it's kind of sad because, like you said, we probably got a long time before we could do. I mean, if we go to the old movies, but before you could do a video like this, so we'll probably all be old fogies next time we do a next video like this, right? Like 2020 to whatever. I don't know, but yeah, it's great.
And Tink.
Well, first things first, Jerry's full of bullshit and don't listen to him. And 2, I had a great time.
Love you too, Tink.
Thanks, James, for inviting me again to do the stream of top 10 movies, because I have a lot of fun. And well, we'll see if we come back for some of the older movies. Although I think I'm gonna have to do some research and rewatching, because I haven't seen a classic movie in like ages. But it'll be fun going back to the old movies and watching them again and remembering and doing a list. So it'll be interesting. Bye-bye, everyone, and thank you for watching, for seeing us now live or later on.
All right, guys. Yeah, check out the Hypes Watch channel, of course, and everyone's channel here.
Next weekend, the Hypes Watch will be hyping with some.
That's right. Next week, there's gonna be a reread next week. I unfortunately will be out of state, so I will not be on that reread. But yeah, check out Hypes Watch next week. They're doing a Cersei chapter. But yeah, guys, of course, thanks to the panelists for joining me. And we'll talk to you guys next time. Of course, always like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Yeah, peace out.
Well, hello.
Prometheus! God damn.